The last train at midnight. They say every town has its own legend. In my town, there is one story that no one likes to talk about. The old railway station was abandoned more than 30 years ago. The tracks are covered with weeds, the platforms are cracked, and the station clock has been frozen at 11:58 p.m. ever since. The older residents say that once every year, on a foggy night, a train appears exactly at midnight, a train that doesn't exist on any schedule. No sane person waits for that train. I didn't believe those stories, until the night I'm about to tell you about. It was late October. I was walking home after spending the evening with some friends. The fog was so thick that the streetlights barely lit the road. To save time, I decided to cut through the old railway station. When I arrived, everything was silent. No wind, no dogs barking, no insects, just complete silence. I looked at the old station clock. It read 11:58 p.m. I thought it was strange that it was still stuck at the exact same time. Then I heard it. A train. At first it was distant. Then it grew louder. The metallic screech of steel wheels echoed through the fog. But that was impossible. No train had passed through those tracks for decades. Slowly, two dim lights emerged from the mist. A black locomotive rolled toward the platform. It had no company logo, no numbers, just rusted steel surrounded by dark smoke that seemed to come from nowhere. The doors slowly opened by themselves. Inside, there were no lights. But I had the unmistakable feeling that someone was watching me. Then I heard a voice behind me. "Don't get on." I turned around. An old man wearing a long gray coat stood a few feet away. His face was pale. His eyes looked exhausted. "Let it leave," he whispered, "because anyone who boards that train never comes back the same." I wanted to ask him what he meant, but when I looked back, he was gone. At that moment, the station bell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. The train doors were still open, as if they were waiting only for me. I don't know why, but I stepped inside. The moment my foot touched the floor, the door slammed shut. The train began to move. Outside the windows, there was nothing, only darkness. I could see my own reflection in the glass. Then I noticed another face standing behind me. I spun around. No one. When I looked back into the window, the face was closer. And it was smiling. I hurried toward the next carriage, but every time I opened a door, I ended up in the exact same compartment. The same seats, the same silence, the same darkness. A little girl sat alone holding an old teddy bear. She never looked up. She quietly whispered, "Don't look outside." Of course, I did, and I instantly regretted it. There were no trees, no buildings, no ground, only endless black emptiness. Standing in that darkness were hundreds of people, perfectly still, all facing the train. None of them had faces. Suddenly, every one of them raised an arm, as if they were greeting someone. Then, they started running, straight toward the train. Their hands slammed against the metal. Bang, bang, bang! Each impact louder than the last. The lights inside the carriage began to flicker. The faceless figures were staring directly at me, even without eyes. I knew they could see me. The train screeched to a halt. The doors opened. I stepped outside. It was the same station, the same fog, the same platform. But the clock no longer read 11:58 p.m. It now showed 3:17 a.m. I ran as fast as I could. I never looked back. When I finally reached home, I locked every door. I thought it was over. I was wrong. The next morning, I found an old train ticket lying on my doorstep. On the front were just a few words. "Return ticket. Valid until next midnight." I threw it into the fireplace. It burned in seconds. I convinced myself everything was finally over. That night, I woke to the sound of a train whistle. It was getting closer, even though the nearest railway was miles away. I looked out the window. There was nothing, only thick fog. Then I heard the conductor's voice. Passengers for the last train. Boarding now. Since that night, I have never walked past the old railway station again. But every year, on the very same night, the whistle wakes me, and every morning, a new ticket is waiting on my doorstep. Maybe one day, I won't be able to resist taking that final ride. So if you ever hear a train at midnight on tracks that have long been abandoned, don't turn around. And whatever you do, don't get on the train.